to find out about your past lives. And this is a topic that is so close to my heart. It's what I spend so much of my time doing with clients for many, many reasons. Because for me, it's not just about, how do you find out more about your past lives? It's about why. Why do you want to find out, or why should you find out more about your past lives? So the first thing I'm going to answer is, why should you? So there's many reasons why you should find out about your past lives. But one of the big reasons is because they give you a clue to why there are certain areas in your life where you might feel stuck. They give you a clue as to why that is and what to do about it. Okay? It gives you a clue to the purpose, why you came here in the first place, what your purpose is, and also a massive clue to what your gifts are, what you came here to share with the world. In order to, in my opinion, fulfill your blueprint in this life and really step into your gifts and create the life that you came here for, that you planned for before your soul incarnated here in this life, finding out about your past lives will enable you to do that so much more easily. It's also about healing, because a lot of the trauma that we experience in our past lives, we carry that energy with us in this life. We carry that at such a deep level that we can actually carry that in our DNA, and not only our past lives, but also our ancestors. In order to heal from that, so we don't carry that trauma into our next life and the next and the next and the next, or even pass it down in our DNA to future generations, to our kids and our kids' kids. It's so helpful to be able to go back to the root cause, that first time that trauma happened, because it will happen. We'll have a root cause of it. So the first time we experienced whatever it was that created that trauma, and then quite often throughout our life and subsequent lives, that trauma will be re-entrenched, if that makes sense, because we will experience other things. This pattern will develop that will root that trauma in us even more until we get to the source, heal it at the source across all of our timelines. So there's many, many reasons why finding out about your past lives is so important. But how do you do that? So many of us have lived, or most of us have lived, many, 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 many lives. If you think about Earth as a schoolroom, so we come here to learn, to grow, to evolve, also to play out karma that we choose to play out, and it is a choice. We choose whether to come back here or not. We come here with a purpose, all of us. Okay, we come here with a purpose, and we decide on that purpose before we come here. We set the blueprint for our lives each time we reincarnate. And that purpose could be something to do with ourselves, possibly a lesson that we need to master. Like I said, a karmic debt that we need to repay, possibly. It may be that we come here to help another soul fulfill a certain purpose that they have. It may be that we come here with the purpose of using our gifts to serve humanity in some way. There's many, many reasons why we come here, and past lives are a really good clue as to why that is. So how to find out about your past lives? There will be clues. There will be clues in the things that happen in your life. So any repeated patterns may be a clue to something that's happened in a past life. Any kind of irrational fears, something that you fear and you don't really understand why you fear it, that can be a clue to a past life. Anything that you're particularly, like you have an affinity to. So for example, I did a channeled spirit guide reading for a client recently, and one of the things that came up was that as a child in a past life, he had been abandoned, and he had been found by a monastery of monks, and he'd been raised for a few years from a young age in this monastery. Now, in this life, unbeknownst to me, he'd spent much of his adult years visiting monasteries all over the world, not knowing why he was so drawn to them. But he just had this affinity and he was drawn to them so strongly. So this past life reading that I did for him allowed him to understand his roots, where that came from. There was also some trauma attached that needed to be healed. So those affinities that you have, those things that you're drawn to, or even people that you're drawn to, will give you a clue to your past life. And when it comes to people, you know, sometimes when you meet someone and you just immediately have that connection, it's like you've known them forever. That is often a clue to past lives as well, because we have these soul families that we often come back time and time and time again in various lives, in various roles with these same souls within our soul families. So when we meet them in this life, we feel like we've known them forever. It could be that there's an area in your life that you're stuck and you don't really understand why you're stuck, but this could be part of this repeated pattern that has its root cause in a past life. So that could be a clue to your past life. Even your dreams, sometimes the dreams we have give us clues to past lives that we've lived. Quite often we dismiss them as our imagination. So, and actually I remember the first time I ever went for a past life regression. And I remember lying there in this meditative state and the lady doing the past life regression for me. And this was before I started channeling past lives and channeling information from people's spirit guides about their past lives. This was long before that. So I'd never experienced this kind of thing before. And I remember lying there while this lady's kind of talking me through this, and she's asking me what I'm seeing. And I remember feeling this pressure to tell her what I was seeing. And so I started talking about this past life and this big long story. And at the end of it, I was a bit like, oh, I don't know if I just made that up, because she was kind of expecting something from me and I wanted to give it to her. I didn't want her to think that it wasn't working. And so for a few years, I remember kind of dismissing it as just my imagination, thinking I'd just made it up. And actually that's why always when I'm doing activations where we go to past lives or anything like that, I always let people know from the outset, if nothing's coming to you, you tell me that. That's absolutely fine. Tell me that and I will help to guide you. Because I don't want people to ever question afterwards whether what has come to them was their imagination or was real. It could be that in meditation, you ask to be shown about past lives generally, or you ask to be shown where the root cause of a pattern in your life is, and that may well take you to a past life. So you can ask your spirit guides, show me why I have this pattern. Why am I attracting all of these negative relationships? Why am I feeling unfulfilled? Why am I unable to attract abundance and joy or health? Why am I having these continued issues with my health? And the root cause of that may be in a past life. So trust what drops in for you. For some people, it may come as a story playing out almost like a movie, like a film in their minds. For other people, it might be that they just have this sense of knowing. Other people might just feel it in their body, like actual physical sensations or emotions. Other people may hear it, like a voice in their head. Okay, so there's many ways and also clues as to what your past life origins may be. It just is a case of sitting and taking the time to ask those questions, ask the universe, ask your spirit guides, ask source, whatever resonates with you, ask your angels, or just spend time reflecting on, what are the areas in my life that I'm stuck? What are the things that I'm naturally attracted to in this life or naturally fearful of in this life? And if there's no logical explanation about that in this life, then it's a very big clue to the fact that that's the source of that may be in a past life. Of course, there's also, I do all the time, activations for people, and those activations are about healing certain patterns or energetic blocks in this life. And very often, more often than not, I am shown past life trauma that explains the blocks and the repeated patterns and cycles in this life, or why they're unable to access their gifts in this life, their spiritual gifts in this life. That can be rooted in past life as well. So you could always come to me for an activation or a channeled spirit guide reading, because very often past lives seem to be my thing. It seems to be what spirit wants me to work with. So very often those channeled spirit guide readings, information comes through from your spirit guides about your past lives, what needs to be healed, what your gifts might be, all sorts of information that will help you on your path to your true soul purpose in this life.